With a swift stride, Olivia left the hotel, the wind brushing against her face. Wendy hurriedly followed, trying to catch up with her. "Liv, wait for me!" Olivia paused and waited for Wendy to catch her breath. Exhausted, Wendy struggled to keep up with Olivia's pace. "So what was that about in there?" Anselpar asked with a smile when he met back up with Olivia and Wendy outside. "Just hanging with people who are accusing me of being a mistress to a sugar daddy. What about you?" Olivia joked. Ansel was taken aback. "When did this happen?" "Don't worry about it," Olivia replied, giving him a meaningful look while Wendy caught up to her. "This—" Ansel was at a loss for words, caught off guard by the sudden revelation. After a moment's thought, he chuckled. "You, being a mistress, you'd be a domineering one if that were true." "True," Olivia agreed. As they got into the car to go to Michael's office, Olivia suggested, "On the way, let's drop Wendy home first." "Okay," Ansel nodded, leading them to the car. After dropping off Wendy, they proceeded to Michael's office building. As they entered the C-suite floor, Michael called Olivia inside to his corner office. "Liv, come here." Olivia approached her father. "What's the matter?" "Well," Michael explained, "I received a call from the Jones family asking if you and Chris are interested in going back to London for a bit. They are willing to handle the travel arrangements for both of you if so, and you could transfer to a school there for the semester if you wanted." Going to London? Olivia was taken aback. She knew Ashley Jones was keeping an eye on Chris, but he hadn't made any significant moves recently. Going back to London now might raise suspicion and make Ashley want to hurt him. Yes, Michael didn't want his daughter to leave so early, since she had just recently moved in with him. With Monica already gone, Olivia was the only one he had left. He couldn't bear to part with her so soon. "If you don't want to go, I'll tell Ashley." "Okay," Olivia replied. "Yeah, please help me decline the offer." She couldn't risk Chris being monitored in London. "All right then," Michael said, relieved. "Is there anything else?" Olivia asked. "Yes," Michael nodded. "The second thing concerns our business. Johnson's Food is planning a brand promotion. If you're interested, I was thinking I would pay you to help work on it, so you could get a little experience running a business. It will also give you some added funds when you go to do your video game startup with your friends." "Wow, thank you, Dad." Olivia felt grateful for her father's support and encouragement. "But we're still in the exploratory stage, and for the time being, we're just getting started. Our first priority is to create our own game. If it becomes successful, it could serve as a bridge to collaborate with our family's other businesses, maybe, though," Olivia explained. "That's perfectly fine," Michael nodded, taking a moment to ponder. "If you encounter any financial difficulties, remember to inform me promptly, okay? I'm proud of you for being so entrepreneurial." "Thank you, Dad." Olivia expressed her gratitude, smiling warmly at her father's support. After leaving her dad's office, Olivia headed straight back to the mansion. Once inside, she brought out all her colorful bags and luxury items, laying them out on the table. This action seemed to lighten her spirits. Exhausted from the day's events, Olivia lay on her soft bed, feeling a sense of fatigue. Just then, her phone rang, displaying an invitation message on her phone. She noticed multiple invitations to join the middle school class group chat. As she skimmed through the messages, someone sent her a private text. Recalling the faces of those people at the hotel, Olivia's lips curled into a disdainful frown as she rejected all the invitations. She even blocked those who tried to initiate a chat with her. The act felt liberating. Tossing her phone aside, Olivia stretched on the bed and hugged her pillow. She couldn't help but feel a tinge of longing for Polly. Whenever she felt down, Polly used to sense it and would jump onto the bed to comfort her with her affectionate presence. "Polly," Olivia murmured, "I wonder how you're doing now." At school the following day, Olivia woke up a little late. Hastily rushing to school, she entered the classroom, offering greetings to her classmates before settling down at her desk. "Hey, Wendy. Hey, Millie," she said. Olivia's friends gathered around her table. Millie appeared composed, while Wendy seemed like she hadn't fully awakened yet. "Wendy, with those dark circles under your eyes, are you trying to cosplay as a panda on the first day of school?" Olivia teased. "Why so tired? Did you not sleep well last night?" "I couldn't fall asleep," Wendy replied with a yawn. She looked utterly exhausted. "I'm so tired." Olivia nodded in response, glancing at the empty desk beside her. "Jeremy hasn't arrived yet. He might be running late." The class bell rang, and Millie and Wendy returned to their seats. As the students settled down, Adam, their teacher, entered the classroom. He exuded a friendly aura, wearing trendy slacks and a youthful button-down shirt with squiggles on it. "Good morning, everyone." "Morning," the students greeted him in unison. Adam continued, "Today, your first class will be with me, but we won't dive into new content. Let's chat, relax, and share our winter vacation experiences. I'm too lazy to teach today." "Sure," the students laughed, appreciating their teacher's straightforward approach. "Also, I want to introduce a new student to you. He just transferred here," Adam said. "Steve, come in." The door opened and Steve Shook entered the classroom. He sported a white shirt, black casual pants, and a black and white jacket to keep warm. With handsome features, fair skin, and a smiling gaze, he drew admiring whispers from his classmates. "Wow, he's so handsome." "Not bad." The classroom buzzed with excitement. "All right, I know everyone is eager to meet our new student, but girls, let's maintain our poise and remember our image, shall we?" Adam's playful remark elicited more laughter. "Now let Steve introduce himself," Adam continued, sensing the atmosphere was abuzz with chatter. Steve nodded graciously. "Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Shook. I am a Gemini, and I have a passion for music. I'm skilled in playing the piano and violin. I hope to get along well with all of you in the coming days." The class applauded as Steve finished his introduction. The applause, akin to a tidal wave, finally woke Wendy up. As soon as Steve entered the classroom, she was taken aback. Wasn't this the person she saw at the fireworks show? He seemed older then, but she was happy to see he was in her class. In an attempt to distinguish between reality and fantasy, Wendy blinked her eyes multiple times and pinched her arm to confirm that this was not a dream or illusion. He had actually transferred to their school. Was this some covert arrangement? Steve Shook. Wendy murmured the name, savoring its pleasant sound. Her drowsiness had completely vanished. "Olivia, Sam, please stand up for a moment," Adam instructed. Olivia and Sam Feinstein complied, rising from their seats. "These two are class representatives, Olivia and Sam Feinstein," Adam said, shifting his gaze to Sam. "Sam, introduce yourself." "Hello, my name is Sam Feinstein. I'm 17 years old, and I have a passion for basketball and table tennis. Mathematics is my forte, so if you need any help, feel free to approach me," Sam Feinstein said, beaming. "Hello," Steve greeted with a smile and a nod. "Liv, how about you introduce me too?" Adam turned to Olivia, smiling. "My name is Olivia," Olivia addressed Steve. "I'm 17 years old, an Aquarius." "Hello," Steve greeted them with a nod, looking surprised at her high emotional intelligence. "We all call her Liv," Adam added, a very enthusiastic and kind student. "If you have any questions, feel free to seek her help." "Okay," Steve nodded in acknowledgement. "An empty seat is available over there. You can sit there." Adam pointed to the vacant spot beside Francis. "All right." Steve walked over to the designated seat. Just as Steve settled in, the classroom door opened again. Jeremy arrived late, greeting Adam before returning to his seat. When Jeremy noticed a stranger seated next to Olivia, he frowned in confusion. "Oh, sorry, Steve, that's not your seat." Olivia waved her hand, gesturing him away. "Someone is already assigned there. Your seat is in the back." "Oh, whoops," Steve responded with a smile. He got up and proceeded towards Francis's seat to sit beside him. But once he sat down and turned around, he was astonished to see the student who now sat beside Olivia. "Is that Jeremy Garibaldi?" Steve thought. "Why is he in New York City? And why is he going by a different last name?" Could Steve be mistaken? These thoughts lingered in Steve's mind, and he resolved to confirm his suspicions after class. "Ah, nice of you to join us, Jeremy," Adam announced cheerfully. "So how about everyone tells me about your winter vacations? Starting from the first seat by the window, share your winter vacation experiences and your happiest memories. Let's all enjoy and learn from each other's holiday adventures." One after another, the students spoke, their excitement and joy evident in their words. Sam Feinstein reminisced about visiting his great-grandmother during the new year, and even climbing a mountain before skiing with the impressive 103-year-old lady. Adam complimented her vitality. As each student shared their experiences, the envy escalated, particularly when Pamela described her winter vacation in Europe, exploring the beautiful streets of Venice after getting lost, an experience many girls in the room fantasized about. Adam acknowledged her adventure and called upon the next student, but the silence that followed revealed that Wendy seemed oblivious to the proceedings. Startled, Wendy finally realized it was her turn. "Oh, it's my turn?" she stammered, looking slightly disoriented. Her deskmate, surprised by her inattention, whispered, "Yes, Wendy, it's your turn to share." Wendy, now aware of the situation and all the attention on her, stood up, but her heavy dark circles didn't escape Adam's notice. "Wendy," he leaned forward, concern in his eyes, "you look quite tired. Did you have trouble sleeping last night?" Feeling slightly embarrassed, Wendy responded, "Well, I may have experienced some insomnia." Laughter echoed through the classroom, accompanied by a light-hearted jest. "Uh-oh." Wendy pursed her lips, her innocence evident as she confessed, I'm usually a light sleeper. I didn't want to suffer from insomnia just because school was today." Adam intervened to steer the conversation back to Wendy's winter vacation experiences, urging, "All right, everyone, let's settle down. Allow Wendy to continue sharing. Tell us about your winter vacation and your fondest memories." Caught off guard by the sudden attention again, Wendy collected her thoughts and began recalling her winter vacation. "Winter vacation? Yes, it was a time to celebrate. I had a great time." This confession sparked a burst of laughter, with someone teasing, "Sam Feinstein, you attended the fireworks show with Wendy this past weekend, right?" In response, Wendy swiftly clarified, "It wasn't just the two of us. Francis, Liv, Jeremy, and some of Chris's friends joined us too. We all went together as a group." She wanted to dispel any misunderstandings between her and Sam. Envy and admiration permeated the air as some exclaimed, "Wow, that's fantastic! So cool!" While Wendy remained modest, she didn't delve further into the details, not wanting to overshadow Olivia or cause any misinterpretations. Adam acknowledged the camaraderie of their group and proceeded to call on the next student. Pamela, who was initially the center of attention, couldn't help rolling her eyes at Wendy's response. Olivia watched Pamela. It had been nice not to focus on her for a while, but she determined, with Monica gone, maybe now was the perfect time to take Pamela down now. When it was Francis's turn to share about his vacation, someone speculated Francis must have played some video games during the winter vacation, right? Others nodded in agreement. Dismissing their assumptions, Francis grinned. "No, actually, I spent my time researching and planning how to launch my own video game company. I was fully absorbed in the process and didn't have much time for gaming." This revelation piqued the boy's interest as one eagerly inquired, "Francis, are you considering a career in game development?" With a modest smile, Francis replied, "In a way, yes. Liv, Wendy, and I analyzed the game research report I prepared, and we're going to build a successful game together." A chorus of wows filled the room. Francis expanded on the idea. "Well, not just us three, actually. Millie and Jeremy are also part of the project." As Jeremy's name was mentioned, he appeared momentarily surprised, unsure how he got roped into this. But a glance at Olivia's encouraging smile reminded him why he was involved. Eager to be a part of the project, someone inquired, "Are you still looking for more people? Maybe I could join your startup." Francis responded with a smile. "Not at the moment. We already have a skilled team." The news invoked envy among their classmates. People in high school were always looking to be a part of whatever was going on and felt left out when they didn't. In the midst of the excitement, Pamela's trip to Europe faded into insignificance. Frustration gripped her as she blamed Olivia for sabotaging her chance to redefine herself after the holiday. She was sure that when she told everyone about her trip, she would have a line of girls out the door, wanting to hear all about how cultured and European she was now. But now everyone was obsessed with the idea that Olivia was starting some stupid business with Francis. Ugh, Pamela thought. Why does Olivia always have to outdo me and steal my thunder and limelight? Her aspirations to regain admiration were shattered by the interference of Olivia, leaving her seething with resentment. Shortly after Francis finished sharing about his vacation, Olivia's turn came. As she stood up and faced the expectant gazes of her classmates. During winter vacation, the Siberian husky I had found was reclaimed by its original owner. Curiosity piqued, and someone inquired, "Is that the husky we all saw wandering around the school?" "Yes, that's the one," Olivia confirmed with a nod. Comforting words came from the class, but Olivia smiled, indicating that time had helped her cope with the loss. Yet she still couldn't help but wonder about Polly, her heart filled with concern for the dog's well-being. Adam empathized, remarking, "I'm sorry, Liv." With Olivia's turn completed, he called for Jeremy to share his experiences. As Jeremy stood up, he expressed, "I went back to San Francisco for a little during the winter vacation, but I don't have any fond memories." Understanding Jeremy's propensity for keeping to himself, Adam didn't probe further and swiftly moved on to the next student. Once everyone in the class shared their stories, more than half of the class period had passed. "All right, now that everyone has told us about their breaks, I can see that you all had a pleasant winter vacation, which delights me. My dear junior brother and sisters, I've always advocated for a balance between work and leisure. Study diligently in school, pay attention during class, and complete your homework earnestly. Then, during the holidays, enjoy yourselves and relax," Adam advised. Nods of agreement followed, and one student couldn't resist asking, "Adam, how was your winter vacation?" "My winter vacation? Preparing for classes, Adam replied, feigning innocence. Then a realization dawned upon him, and he exclaimed, "Oh right, I have your final exam results too. Now, as all of you know, your results on last semester's final exams determine who will be competing in the National Elite Student Competition." Excitement filled the classroom, and the students' eyes lit up with anticipation. They urged him to reveal the results quickly. "Before I disclose the results, let me make one thing clear. The announcement stays within this classroom. No one should divulge this information to others, or I won't share such news with you in the future," Adam emphasized, pulling out a few pieces of paper from his messenger bag. The students readily agreed, pledging to not spread the news outside the classroom. "All right, I'll simply read the names of who will be competing," Adam declared, knowing that was all they truly cared about. "In our class, there are 2 outstanding students. The first one, needless to say, is Millie," Adam stated with a smile, and everyone nodded in agreement. Their attention then fixated on him, eager to know who the second exceptional student was, hoping it might be themselves. As for the second student, Adam paused briefly before continuing, "It's beyond my imagination, based on how this student did during the midterms. I wasn't sure this student would excel enough to compete in the competition, so I am very pleased." "Hurry up and tell us, Adam, I'm so nervous," urged Sam Feinstein, hoping he had performed well enough on the math exam to participate in that subject in the elite student competitions. "Yes, please tell us," echoed the rest of the class. Pamela remained silent, but her hands rested stiffly on the table, betraying her nervousness. She was confident in her results and believed she could secure the top spot in English. She was relieved that Millie wouldn't be competing, as the rules stated that since she was the top all-around student, she would only be able to compete in the all-around subject competition and would have to abstain from single subject competitions, leaving the second place in each subject to automatically compete in that individual subject's competition. Seeing their anxiousness, Adam relented. "I won't keep you in suspense any longer. The second place goes to the number 1 student in the English single subject." Excitement filled the room, and Pamela's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Who else could it be but her? "It's Olivia from our class," Adam announced, and applause erupted in the classroom. Many were surprised by the unexpected revelation, but they applauded wholeheartedly, cheering for Olivia's achievement. "It's impossible!" Pamela blurted out, her face filled with shock. Realizing her outburst, she quickly composed herself, though her voice carried jealousy and doubt. "Olivia's previous exam results were so poor. How could she have improved so quickly? Is there some mistake?" Adam smiled and acknowledged her surprise. "I was also quite surprised, but this time, Liv did exceptionally well in her exams. She excelled in other subjects, too, ranking in the top 20 in science. Though she narrowly missed the top 100 overall, her grades improved significantly. She ranked 110 in the school and 11th in the class. It's evident that she has worked diligently and made remarkable progress." Unconvinced, Pamela's voice carried a mix of emotions as she muttered, "No matter how hard she works, it's impossible for her exams to be this good." Millie frowned at Pamela's attitude, finding it distasteful. "Don't doubt someone who works harder than you until you reach their level. Liv has been seeking tutoring and studying until the wee hours of the morning. What's so surprising about her excelling?" Pamela remained unconvinced and resentful, unable to believe that Olivia had outperformed her. The class bell rang, signaling the end of class. Adam dismissed the students with a smile and exited the room. Students congratulated Olivia for her achievement, while Pamela rushed to catch up with Adam. She couldn't accept Olivia's success, convinced that Olivia had bought her way to the top. "I won't let her get away with this," Pamela thought. Minutes later, Pamela gazed at the report card before her. Disbelief etched across her face. Every subject displayed a dismal C+ next to it, leaving her anchored at the bottom of her class's rankings. This couldn't be her result. It was impossible. Perhaps she had forgotten to write her correct student ID number on her test, but such a trivial error couldn't account for such catastrophic grades. "This is your result," Adam asserted, observing Pamela's distressed expression. "No, it's impossible." Pamela vehemently shook her head. "Adam, why is this happening?" Her voice trembled with frustration. "Could there be an error in the grading process?" Pamela was unwilling to accept this outcome. She had poured her heart and soul into her exam preparation, dedicating herself to rigorous studying. How could it all amount to this? "Well, while you did really well on your exams, the school decided that you should be ineligible to compete in the elite student competition," Adam revealed, as a punishment for the incident at the end of the last semester. The past events rushed back into Pamela's memory, darkening her eyes. She recalled the unfortunate incident that had occurred, in which she gave Mr. Dickens a love letter by accident. "I intended to give that to Chris Jones," she thought, but she knew she couldn't explain herself now. Still, Adam's words struck her hard, causing her to clench her fists in frustration. She lashed out, "Adam, aren't you supposed to be my advocate? How can you let this happen?" Her words stung, and Adam frowned slightly, feeling the impact of her accusation. This incident has caused substantial damage. Had it not been on school grounds, it might have been more manageable. But you can't just go around joking with teachers like that, he said. Despite her dissatisfaction, Pamela knew she mostly had herself to blame. Her reputation had taken the brunt of the damage. "You can return to the classroom now," Adam directed, glancing at the time as the second period was about to begin. Pamela couldn't let it go. She inquired, "Adam, just one more question. How did I perform in English, and what is my rank in the single subjects?" "Your English score matches Olivia's," Adam replied. Pamela's heart swelled with frustration. This meant she had an equal chance to claim first place in the English subjects, right? She could have qualified for the national elite competition, if not for that dreadful misunderstanding between her and Mr. Dickens. Her resentment grew, and a notion formed in her mind. Was Adam deliberately undermining her chances to favor Olivia? The thought took root, deepening her hatred for Adam and the dark forces at play in the world. She glared at him, believing he had sabotaged her future and unfairly favored Olivia time and again. It was all because of money and the corrupt rules of society. Fueled by her anger and ambition, Pamela swore to herself, "If I ever have the opportunity, I will make Olivia and Adam pay dearly for their conspiracies. They will feel the repercussions of their actions, and I will rise above this stupid, corrupt system they've created that has held me back way too often." As Pamela left the office, a gloomy expression remained etched on her face. Turning the corner, she spotted Mr. Dickens, the person responsible for punishing her and making her miserable. Oblivious to the fierce stare directed at him, Mr. Dickens stood by a fire hydrant, adjusting his suit and hair. Unaware of Pamela's presence, a female teacher playfully teased, "Someone is looking dashing today." "When am I not handsome?" Mr. Dickens replied confidently. "I heard from colleagues that you received a love letter from a high school girl," the female teacher teased with a smile. Sighing, Mr. Dickens waved dismissively, saying, "It can't be helped. These kids are too young and lack self-control. As teachers, we must guide them well. Besides, I'm just so good to look at. Apparently, I'm hard to resist," he joked. The female teacher laughed before leaving for her classes. Mr. Dickens, his ego inflated, straightened his collar and walked away with his head held high. Listening to the conversation firsthand, Pamela's face turned pale. Snorting coldly, she turned and made her way toward the stairs, plotting revenge against Mr. Dickens, the third person she wanted to bring to justice. Meanwhile, further back in the hallway, Olivia crossed her arms, observing the comedy that had unfolded before her. Olivia relished in the prospect of seeing if these two, Pamela and Mr. Dickens, would meet again and continue their true love story. A subtle smile played on her lips. Pamela's fall from grace was just the beginning, a dessert that whetted her appetite. As the bell rang for the next class, Olivia made her way to the classroom, brimming with anticipation for what lay ahead. During class, students were allowed to work on homework as the teacher prepared the next lesson. Olivia noticed Wendy, who seemed absent-minded throughout the morning. She couldn't help but inquire, "Wendy, are you all right?" "I'm fine, pretty good." Wendy shook her head. She didn't understand why Liv was asking. "You seem kind of off," Millie commented, eyeing the dark circles under Wendy's eyes. "You nearly fell down the stairs today. If it weren't for Francis's quick response, you would have tumbled down." "I'm okay, really," Wendy replied, feeling that her sleepiness vanished the moment Steve entered the room that morning. "But you don't seem well now." Olivia and Millie exchanged a concerned glance. "You appear a bit under the weather." "Is that so?" Wendy was taken aback. She didn't think it was that bad. Maybe she spaced out a few times today. "Yes." Olivia and Millie nodded in agreement. "Well," Wendy hesitated. Should she tell them what was bothering her? Steve Shook approached Jeremy from behind, recognizing him immediately. "Hey, Jeremy Garibaldi, why are you here?" As he posed the question, he noticed the stiffness in Jeremy's back, confirming his suspicions. Reacting swiftly, Steve stepped forward, blocking Jeremy's path. "I said, Jeremy, Why are you here?" Jeremy scrutinized Steve from head to toe, expressing unfamiliarity. "Who are you?" "I'm Steve from the Shook family of London," Steve replied, a bit bemused by the lack of recognition. He teasingly observed Jeremy's disheveled appearance. "Are you here representing the Garibaldi family, Jeremy?" "Stop, this has nothing to do with you," Jeremy retorted, recalling their past encounters. In his heart, he drew a line to sever their relationship. Bypassing Steve, Jeremy proceeded to try to walk away from him. "Why does it have nothing to do with me?" Steve halted Jeremy once again. "The Garibaldi family in San Francisco is a business associate of the Shooks. Now that you've suddenly appeared in New York City, I can't help but suspect that something has happened in San Fran. Naturally, this matter that might affect the Shooks has something to do with me." Jeremy stopped in his tracks, a disdainful smile on his lips. He regarded Steve with a foolish look. "Aren't you also in New York City now?" "I am different. I'm here because my family is opening a branch of our company in New York City," Steve explained, waving his hand. "Is that true?" Jeremy gazed intently into Steve's eyes. "I just don't want you to get in the way and impede my plans. Your family is now run by that woman with another last name. Is it only a matter of time before I banish you, the legitimate young master?" Steve's smile disappeared instantly. He studied Jeremy and asked, "How did you know?" "This has nothing to do with you." Jeremy dismissed Steve, reminding him not to cause trouble in New York City before leaving. Steve's fist clenched as he watched Jeremy walk away. Nearby, Olivia and her friends were engrossed in their conversation. Wendy, however, couldn't help but notice Steve's expression. "Wendy?" Olivia followed Wendy's gaze, inquiring, "Steve?" Blushing, Wendy stammered, "It's nothing, I want to go to the bathroom." "But didn't you just go?" Millie observed Wendy's flustered demeanor, exchanging glances with Olivia. Both of them sensed something amiss. I suddenly feel like going again," Wendy replied, attempting to leave. However, before she could, Olivia and Millie swiftly grabbed her shoulders, causing Wendy to tremble nervously. "Wendy, come with us," Olivia and Millie said, their eyes narrowing slightly, as if they were police apprehending suspicious individuals. Wendy pursed her lips, feeling concerned as the two girls led her to a secluded corner. Her gaze remained fixed on the top of her shoe, trying to avoid eye contact. "Wendy, just be honest and forthright. What is going on?" Millie stated, crossing her arms over her chest. With some hesitation, Wendy decided to tell her friends about her encounter with Steve at the fireworks show. "I thought it was just a chance encounter. I never expected to see him again, especially in our class. His sudden transfer surprised me," she said, holding her cheeks with both hands. Her palms felt warm with embarrassment, and she didn't need a mirror to imagine her flushed face. Olivia smiled, commenting, "Then you and Steve seem to be destined to see each other, maybe." "Don't laugh at me," Wendy pleaded, feeling even more self-conscious. Okay, we won't laugh," Millie assured her, though a playful smile still lingered on her lips. Wendy covered her face with both hands, feeling even more embarrassed by the situation. Suddenly, a familiar and pleasant male voice reached her ears. "Liv, hey, there you are," Steve said, lightly patting Olivia's shoulder. "I've been looking for you for a while." "Looking for me?" Olivia glanced at Wendy and then back at Steve. "Why are you looking for me?" "My brother Robbie wants to see you. Do you want to come to my house for a meal tonight?" Steve's eyes softened with tenderness as he mentioned his brother. "I don't think so," Olivia replied thoughtfully. "I'm attending a tutoring class tonight. How about we plan for the weekend? I'll treat you guys to a meal to celebrate your arrival in our class." "That's fine too," Steve agreed. "And thank you for treating us. You really don't have to." "It's nothing." Olivia waved it off casually. After chatting for a while longer, Steve took his leave with determined strides and headed to his next class. Once he left, Millie curiously asked, "How do you two know each other?" Our parents were classmates in university, Olivia explained. They have a good relationship. Really? Wendy finally removed her hands from her face, asking, Liv, tell me about him, his background. Oh, Olivia thought for a moment. I remember my father mentioning that they were in a band together back then. Steve's father was the lead singer and his mother, Beth, was a renowned musician and manager. Today, Steve mentioned that he excels at playing the piano and violin. I recall my dad saying that his mother is a very famous musician. Ah, Wendy instantly felt a sense of inferiority. A musical family. Uh-oh, Wendy's even more in love now, Millie teased, giving Wendy an amused look. My family doesn't even know how to hold a tune. This is quite a contrast, Wendy mumbled, shoulders slumping. Olivia and Millie exchanged glances before Millie patted Wendy's shoulder, saying, Their family may be into music, but do you have to be? Don't overthink it, or it'll be over before it starts, okay? But what can I do to get his attention? Wendy sounded somewhat disheartened. Come with me for dinner this weekend, Olivia suggested after a moment of thought. But I don't want to dampen your spirits. Steve's family is indeed unique. If you really like him, go ahead and pursue him. But consider enjoying the process of pursuing him. I don't want you to get hurt, and I don't want you to miss the chance to pursue something. Okay, Wendy nodded in agreement, intrigued. Come on, let's head to the third period, Millie suggested with a smile, holding Wendy's arm. Okay, Wendy replied, feeling a flutter of excitement in her entire body. The events of the day felt so surreal still. You two go ahead, I'll join you in a bit, Olivia said, looking at a figure not far away. Okay, Millie and Wendy said before heading back to the classroom together. Olivia jogged over to the figure. Chris? Chris shifted his gaze away from the sheet of paper in his hand and looked at Olivia. What's up? The student union is responsible for organizing the National Elite Student Competition, right? Olivia inquired. It should be, Chris confirmed. Then I might need your help, Olivia said with a smile. Sure, Chris replied, pausing for a moment before asking teasingly, Do you have any enemies you need vanishing? A trace of coldness flickered in Olivia's eyes, revealing a deep-seated hatred. Chris's playful demeanor turned serious. Wow, I'm curious to see who could elicit such a scary look from you. Ha ha ha, Olivia chuckled, covering up her anger. She didn't want anyone to know about her plan for vengeance quite yet. When she averted her eyes, she noticed the paper in Chris's hand. What's that? In order to welcome the examinees for the elite student competition, the school has requested students to produce a program and stage play, Chris explained with a frown. He wasn't particularly fond of stage shows. Romeo and Juliet? Olivia recalled. In her previous life, Pamela had also participated in it. Originally, she was supposed to play Juliet's maid, but due to unforeseen circumstances, she had to take on the role of Juliet herself. Yes, Chris confirmed. It's just the most banal story. Don't you like it? Olivia asked. It's merely a tale of two people selfishly pursuing their love, regardless of the consequences, and tragically dying together, right? Chris glanced at Olivia. Pretty stupid if you ask me. The bell for class rang, and Olivia looked at Chris and joked, Well, at least you know what you like and what you don't. I'll see you later? Chris nodded, and they both rushed to their classes. When Olivia arrived home after school, Vera was already waiting for her. After a few hours of tutoring, Olivia bid Vera farewell and then took out her small journal and began to recall the events of her past life. As she wrote, she noticed her memory was becoming somewhat fuzzy. Earlier, when the exam results were announced, the entire school heard about Pamela's situation with Mr. Dickens and how it prevented her from participating in the elite student competition. Pamela had hoped the winter vacation would make everyone forget about the embarrassing incident, but her wishful thinking had been in vain. People were already talking and laughing about her, and the feeling was even worse than death. As Olivia watched Pamela's thoughts earlier, She saw that transferring schools crossed Pamela's mind. But if she transferred, she feared Olivia would be unchecked at Marshall High. And if she left, what would happen to her? Why should she give in and transfer to another school? If anyone was to leave, it should be Olivia. Pamela wouldn't accept defeat. Having endured such humiliation, she was determined to repay Olivia twice over in the future. She would make sure of it. Eavesdropping in on Pamela's thoughts made Olivia smile. "I'd like to see you try to repay me," Olivia snickered. "You will be so sorry, Pamela." "What the?" Sam Feinstein looked at his report card the following day at school. "Liv, your improvement is quite fast." "Hee hee hee," Olivia smiled at Sam. "Just wait until I surpass you." "You still have some way to go," Sam Feinstein replied. His current results were still among the top 3 in the entire class in all subjects, whereas Olivia was merely second in English only. But participating in the National Elite Student Competition is impressive. "Do you want me to help you with mathematics?" "Go away, it's not your turn," Millie teased Sam. "Just watch. It won't be long before Liv surpasses you." "I'll wait and see," Sam laughed heartily, then noticed Frances was no longer in the last place. Finally, Frances isn't at the bottom. That's worth celebrating, right? Upon hearing this, Pamela's back visibly stiffened as she entered the classroom. "Not really something to celebrate," Olivia chimed in with a smile. If not for Pamela getting poor marks for her terrible behavior, Frances would have been ranked last. "That's true," Millie agreed, crossing her arms. Pamela clenched her fists, feeling their words sting. She returned to her seat, took out a pen, and wrote 4 words heavily in her notebook. Olivia Johnson must go. Those who mocked her today would not have a good ending. Seeing Pamela like this, the others refrained from further remarks. Although they didn't particularly like her, they were still classmates, and they didn't wish to inflict more hurt. Even the classmate who used to make jokes refrained from bothering her. Now, Pamela knew how it felt to be the subject of mockery. Olivia watched Pamela and felt that it was far from enough. At that moment, a student union member knocked on the classroom door. "Is Olivia here?" "Yes," Olivia replied. She got up from her desk to meet the student union member at the door. "What's the matter?" "We have a school stage play called Romeo and Juliet. You'll be playing the role of Juliet's maid. After school, head to the dance room on the first floor for rehearsal," the student union member said, handing Olivia a piece of paper. "I don't have time." Olivia shook her head. "I want to participate in the elite student competition. Please find someone else for the role." "That's your concern. You'll have to make time," the student union member replied, pushing the paper back into Olivia's hands. "Just make sure to be there." "I'm not going," Olivia replied, annoyed by the student union member's arrogance, and returned the paper. The student union member shot her an annoyed glance. How dare she be so arrogant? "I have no time and no interest, so please find someone else to play the role of the maid," Olivia stated firmly to the student council member. The student council member scoffed. "Don't tell me you think the role is too small. Come on, don't be so full of yourself." Olivia's patience was wearing thin, and she replied, "Find someone who wants to do it because I'm busy." Clearly taken aback by Olivia's response, the student council member grew angry. "Don't disrespect me and be shameless." Olivia sneered, unimpressed, and turned to walk back to her desk. The student council member couldn't contain his frustration and threw the paper he held towards Olivia's back, saying, "If you don't do what we ask, just see what happens." Olivia paid no mind to the threat and walked back to her seat. She had encountered enough individuals who exploited their authority and acted like clowns. She knew better than to be bothered by such behavior. Wendy approached Olivia's desk, holding the paper ball. "What should we do about this?" "Throw it away," Olivia responded dismissively. "Are you sure?" Wendy asked, concerned about any potential retaliation from the student union if Olivia didn't participate in their play. They wouldn't dare to openly retaliate against me. Olivia scoffed. I won't go regardless. Keeping some paper that states they want me to be in their play won't change anything. Wendy insisted. You should keep it. She opened the paper and flattened it on Olivia's table, smoothing out the creases. Whoa, Chris is playing Romeo? Olivia nodded. Knowing Chris's personality, he despises this story, so he definitely wouldn't want to be Romeo. If Chris is Romeo, then you should be Juliet, Wendy said with a dreamy expression, her heart filled with the young girl's romantic notions. They were lovers, Wendy teased. Olivia chuckled self-deprecatingly. And then they all died? She found humor in her own words. Stop daydreaming. Tisk! You really don't know how to be romantic, Wendy teased, rolling her eyes at Olivia. To her, Romeo and Juliet was such a beautiful love story, and it was a shame Olivia wasn't seeing it the same way. Olivia laughed and shook her head, finding Wendy's comments amusing. If only she knew Chris's opinion on romance, she might have a different perspective on the matter. Pamela, seated at her desk, overheard the conversation between Olivia and Wendy, and a new plan began to take shape in her heart. If Olivia didn't participate in the stage play, could she use that discarded piece of paper to take Olivia's spot? With the opportunity to participate in the play, Pamela felt confident that she could find a way to secure the role of Juliet. Moreover, knowing that Chris would be playing Romeo only added to her excitement. Pamela envisioned herself performing flawlessly on stage, making everyone forget about the recent unpleasant incident. When school ended, Pamela kept a close eye on Olivia's actions. Liv, let's go, Wendy and Millie said, standing by Olivia's desk. All right, Olivia replied, tidying up her belongings. She then glanced at Pamela, still seated, and a mischievous glint sparkled in her eyes. Olivia crumpled the piece of paper and threw it into the trash bin before leading Millie and Wendy outside the classroom. Rather than leaving the school immediately, Olivia took them to hide outside the glass window by the back door. Why are we hiding here? Wendy asked curiously. Shh. Olivia hushed them, signaling them to watch carefully. The majority of students had already left the classroom. Pamela, pretending to dispose of a few papers, walked towards the trash bin. She threw her paper into the bin and pretended to pick up the student union notice that Olivia had previously thrown away. Olivia suspected Pamela would do this because she had read Pamela's thoughts. Now, observing Pamela's actions, Olivia smiled and said, "Let's go." Wendy was stunned by Pamela's actions. Pamela picked something from the trash bin? Even if Liv threw that notice in poop, Pamela would pick it up, let alone the trash bin. Millie mocked. Pamela is too opportunistic. Just another moocher who won't give up until she gets attention. Oh, Wendy said with a troubled expression, unable to fully accept it. Don't fret about it, Olivia assured, placing her hand on Wendy's shoulder. Let's think about what you're going to wear for Sunday's lunch with Steve Shook. Ooh, what should I wear? Wendy was taken aback, not having given it much thought. Really? You haven't thought about it yet? Millie sighed and rolled her eyes. I guess you'll need some help. You know Liv will arrive with the perfect outfit on Saturday. I don't have many clothes, so I can't wear almost anything, Wendy replied with a bitter smile. When I come pick you up on Saturday, I'll bring some clothes for you, Olivia offered. So just focus on the topics of conversation you want to bring up on Saturday and prepare a few things to talk about. Otherwise, you might get nervous during the lunch. I know you. Oh, Wendy pouted. She didn't want to, but every time she met Steve's gaze, her ability to communicate with words vanished, leaving her feeling at a loss for words. So Olivia was right. Millie, are you going to come too on Saturday? Olivia asked. No need. Millie waved her hand. I've already anticipated how awkward the situation will be on Saturday. You two go ahead. I'm not interested. Millie? Wendy looked dejected. Even if there's a possibility it'll be awkward, you don't just say it out loud. I don't have much confidence to begin with, but after hearing what you said, I'm even more terrified." Okay, I won't say any more," Millie consoled, reaching out to rub Wendy's head. "Don't be nervous, all right?" "Okay," Wendy nodded. "In any case, the worst outcome would only be being seen as a weird person," Millie analyzed objectively. The little bit of confidence that Wendy had mustered vanished once again, and she lamented, "Millie, this is just not helpful at all." "Millie, don't scare her," Olivia smiled, "although what you said is true." "Liv?" Wendy gazed at Olivia. "Both of you are too much. Where's the loyalty to your friends?" Millie and Olivia exchanged amused glances. Teasing Wendy when they had nothing else to do was quite entertaining. While Olivia and her friends joked, Pamela took Olivia's crumpled up paper and made her way to the theater classrooms on the first floor. Inside, many theater kids were already present, practicing their lines. "Who are you?" A person standing at the door looked at Pamela. He didn't recognize her. "I am Pamela Cox," Pamela introduced gracefully. "Pamela, what are you doing here?" the man asked again. "Well, you see, our class president, Olivia, couldn't make it because she's so busy, so she asked me to act as the maid in the play," Pamela explained with a smile, presenting the crumpled notice. "Why is this all crumpled up?" The man's annoyance was evident. How dare someone make an official student union notice look like this? "Oh, this." Pamela noticed the guilty student union member who had notified her earlier, not far away. She quickly thought of a response and said, "I'm not entirely sure. This is how Olivia gave it to me." The man frowned. "What's going on?" Other students gathered around, sensing a commotion. "Olivia from the junior class isn't participating in the performance, so she sent Pamela instead," the man explained with a frown, showing them the crumpled notice. "Pamela?" the girl in charge of the stage play murmured, studying Pamela's face. "Oh, aren't you the one who got disqualified from participating in the elite student competition because you had some behavioral problem with a teacher?" Pamela turned red upon hearing the girl's words. "Ah, yes, the one who confessed to Mr. Dickens!" Another girl shrieked with an amused laugh. Pamela felt even more embarrassed. "Well, either way, the maid role isn't crucial, so you can have it," the girl, Erica Taylor, said to Pamela with a disdainful smile. "It suits you just fine." Though she cursed Erica 100 times in her heart, Pamela still maintained her smile. "Thank you." She saw this as a chance to turn the tables, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. "I am in charge of this stage play and also playing Juliet. My name is Erica Taylors." Erica introduced herself confidently, raising her chin and extending her hand with a smile. "Welcome to our performance." "Thank you," Pamela responded, reaching out her hand to shake Erica's, but at the last moment, Erica withdrew her hand. Pamela's expression changed instantly. How could Erica be so disrespectful? "Let's start rehearsing," Erica announced, turning away to look for the person playing Romeo. She had seen him a few times before and was impressed by him. "Actually, Chris left quite some time ago, so we can't rehearse with him yet," another student responded. "He left?" Erica was annoyed. How did she not know about this? "He said he's not interested in this play. He told the student union president that he won't be acting and asked for a replacement as soon as possible," the person explained. "What?" Erica's expression changed. How audacious. She was in charge of this stage play, so she should have been told of this immediately. Hearing their conversation, Pamela felt a sense of vindication. She liked seeing Erica stressed out. It's what she deserved for being rude to Pamela. And despite the fact that Chris was a no-show, Pamela decided she would still do the play. It was, after all, a chance to be seen. In the following days, Pamela diligently rehearsed in the theater room after school. Besides memorizing her own lines, she also learned Erica's lines and positioning because she was her understudy. And, Pamela told herself, when it comes time to perform, I'll make sure Erica's not able to be Juliet, and they'll have to ask me to step in. Then everyone will be talking about my dazzling performance. Finally, the much-anticipated Saturday arrived. Olivia selected a few suitable clothes from her closet and brought them to her mom's place for Wendy to try on. After comparing and talking through each outfit, Wendy was finally ready. The two of them then headed to a restaurant Steve chose for lunch. "Hello, do you have a reservation?" a polite hostess asked. "Yes," Olivia replied, giving her name. "Miss Johnson, please come this way." The waiter led Olivia to a corner. Just as they sat down, Steve arrived with his brother, too. Steve originally expected only Olivia to come, so he was surprised to see Wendy. However, he quickly regained his smile. "Liv, Robbie here insisted on seeing you." "Is that so?" Olivia glanced at Robbie. "It's a rare occasion. I thought he considered me an old hag." Hearing Olivia say this, Robbie's face revealed a hint of anxiety. "You always pick on me." "Ugh." Olivia burst into laughter. She couldn't help but find it amusing to hear the young kid using such big words. "Robbie likes you very much," Steve said. "He hasn't stopped talking about you since you rescued him the other day. Though he has a stubborn temper and can be rude, he still is very kind." "I know," Olivia said, "and he's been through a lot." "This is your younger brother?" Wendy's brain seemed to stop working when she saw Steve. Gathering her courage, she finally managed to ask a question. "Yes, this is my brother Robert," Steve replied. "We call him Robbie. Robbie, this is my classmate Wendy." Upon hearing Steve's words, Wendy blushed. This was the first time she found her own name to be so pleasant to hear. "Wendy is my best friend," Olivia added. "We've been friends since elementary school." "Wendy," Robbie said. Wendy responded, but felt too nervous to even raise her head. Observing Wendy's discomfort, Olivia shook her head helplessly. Thankfully, the waiter brought some appetizers at that moment, and everyone started eating while chatting to ease the awkwardness. Wendy seemed to shift all her attention to the food, using it as a distraction to prevent others from noticing her nervousness. As the meal was coming to an end, Olivia could no longer contain herself. She turned to Wendy with an awkward smile. "Wendy, don't eat too much. You should also say a few words." Wendy had been eating nonstop, and Olivia couldn't bear to watch anymore. "Huh?" Wendy raised her head, swallowing the food in her mouth. Realizing that everyone's gaze was on her, she hesitated for a moment before saying, "Are you guys thirsty? How about ordering some soup?" Olivia laughed to herself. "You're hopeless," she thought. Jeremy frowned, correcting him. "Ha ha ha," Steve chuckled. "Do you want me to cooperate with you?" "I hope you won't disturb me again," Jeremy stated firmly and continued walking forward. "Wait a minute," Steve intercepted Jeremy again. "I say, Jeremy, why is it so hard to befriend you?" "There's no need." Jeremy sidestepped him once more. "Don't go," Steve persisted, catching up with Jeremy. "I've noticed that you never talk to anyone at school. Aren't you bored?" "If I feel bored, I'll go for a walk," Jeremy retorted, rolling his eyes at Steve. Why was Steve so bothersome? "What do you want?" "I want to be friends with you," Steve smiled, shrugging. "I don't want to be friends with you." Jeremy glanced at Steve, dismissing him. He wanted to avoid any unnecessary connections with the Shook family. While the Garibaldi family might be chaotic, the Shook family's influence was even more significant. Under such circumstances, he preferred to keep his distance. "You're quite difficult to deal with," Steve sighed. After a few days, he had become acquainted with everyone in the junior class at Marshall High, except for Jeremy Garibaldi, or rather, Jeremy Spencer. Jeremy was the only one who coldly rejected any attempts at friendship. After crossing the road, Jeremy headed towards his Bentley sports car. He assumed Steve would stop there, but to his surprise, Steve followed and got into the car as well. Jeremy frowned and exclaimed, "You! Take me with you. It's on the way." Steve settled in the passenger seat, looked at Jeremy's driver, Albert, and told him his address. "Thank you." Albert's mouth twitched a few times. They were heading in 2 different directions, but seeing that Steve shook would not budge, Albert could only start the car and oblige. Jeremy didn't shoo Steve away, but instead sighed in frustration and gazed out of the window. Steve was truly exasperating. "Jeremy, why did you ask the driver to park the car so far away from school when he picks you up?" Steve inquired. "Where do you live now?" Jeremy remained silent, not uttering a word. "Oh, look!" Steve's attention was drawn outside as well. "It's Liv, Millie, and Wendy. Let's see if they need a ride, too." "Shut up!" Jeremy's silence finally broke, and he turned his gaze to where Steve was looking. There, Olivia and the others were strolling, holding milkshakes while chatting and laughing. Steve turned back to observe Jeremy's expression. "Hey, Jeremy, don't tell me you like one of them. Why do you look so serious?" "I'm just bored," Jeremy coldly snorted, turning his head away again. "Ah, right, of course you are," Steve mused, analyzing the situation. "Could it be Millie you're crushing on? She's studious and has a good personality." Seeing Jeremy's lack of reaction, Steve continued, "Or is it Wendy? She's quite cute and funny and seems to be pretty kind." He vividly recalled their previous meal together, where Wendy demonstrated how thoughtful she was to her friends. Or maybe Liv. She always seems preoccupied. But when she is engaged, she's nice. My little brother Robbie is fond of her. "Can you shut up?" Jeremy felt that it was a mistake not to have chased Steve out of the car. "Oh, so it is Olivia," Steve playfully teased. "I can't tell. But you two are desk mates. You've hidden it well enough I didn't notice at school." "Albert, pull over to the side and let Steve out of the car," Jeremy instructed coldly. "Yes, sir." Albert parked the car by the side. "What's wrong? Are you embarrassed or angry?" Steve smirked. "All right, fine, I won't ask any more questions." "You can keep driving, Albert," Jeremy said. "Yes, sir." Albert started the car again. "So you were called Albert." Steve turned to look at the driver. Albert was slightly speechless. This Steve guy had a lot to say. Jeremy resolved that this would definitely be the first and last time he let Steve into his car. Reaching the address Steve had given Albert on Cheshire Avenue was no easy task. After dropping off the troublemaker Steve, both Jeremy and Albert let out a sigh of relief. "You must wait for me," Steve said, "because I just have to run in and get something here, and then we can head to my place." "Should we wait?" Albert glanced at Jeremy. "Yes," Jeremy replied, thinking that Steve probably had something to say or do inside the apartment. "We've already come all this way, we might as well." He rolled his eyes. "Okay, sir." Albert turned off the car and waited for about 45 minutes until Steve returned. He opened the car door and got in, holding a packaged box in his hand. "Phew, this cake shop is really popular. We'd wait in line for a long time." Steve let out a sigh of relief. But Robbie was so insistent on getting one after seeing the advertisement. "Our family makes desserts, and yeah, kids nowadays. Anyways, now you can take me home." Steve smiled and then gave Albert his address. Albert felt a strong urge to throw this person out of the car and give him a piece of his mind. Why was he so annoying? Jeremy took a deep breath to suppress the anger in his heart and said, "Drive." "Yes, sir." Albert complied, starting the car. By the time Steve was finally dropped off at his apartment, the sky had already darkened. "Thank you so much, Jeremy Garibaldi. Oh, no, Jeremy Spencer," Steve said with a smile as he got out of the car. "I wanted to treat you guys to some cake, but the bakery limited the baked goods to one person since they're so popular." "Drive." Jeremy's last bit of patience wore thin, and he interrupted Steve, instructing Albert to drive away. With the wheels turning and the car dashing away, Steve, who stood there, looked at the receding car shadow and smiled. "Wow, a Bentley is indeed impressive," he muttered to himself. As he put away his smile, an expression that was difficult to understand crossed his face. "Nice to see you, Jeremy Garibaldi." He let out a bit of a chuckle. He turned around and walked towards the door behind him while mumbling to himself. The Jones family is engaged to the Johnson family. Jeremy Spencer is really Jeremy Garibaldi and has feelings for Olivia. It's really complicated. Steve opened the door and curled his lips. How about making it a little more complicated? When Jeremy got home, he ascended the stairs to enter his apartment. His sister Devin greeted him promptly, donning an apron and clutching a spatula. "Why have you returned so late today?" she asked. "We've only one dish left. Hurry, wash your hands and prepare to eat." Drawing a deep breath, Jeremy caught an odd scent in the air, making him prefer a simple meal like bread. After washing his hands, he sat at the table, surveying the array of unfamiliar dishes. Frowning, he noticed Albert returning at that moment. Devin placed the final dish on the table and urged, "Albert, wash your hands and eat quickly." Albert hesitated, swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Could they really consume this peculiar concoction? Devin wore a proud expression, inviting them to taste her culinary skills. Jeremy contemplated opting for bread instead, deciding it was safer for his well-being. As he began to rise, a kitchen knife sliced through the air and landed firmly on the table beside his bowl. "No one is allowed to leave," Devin proclaimed, crossing her arms. "I spent 3 hours preparing this meal. Hurry and eat." Albert, feeling constrained, reluctantly sat down and glanced at the food. Then she looked at Jeremy awkwardly. "Bread?" Jeremy still hesitated. "You can't always eat bread. It lacks nutrition," Devin asserted, preventing him from leaving. "As your sister, it's my duty to look after your health, especially since you were unwilling to hire a cook. So eat up." Reluctantly, he picked up his forks, selecting a piece of an unidentifiable item that his sister had made. He placed it into his mouth and chewed, then turned to Albert. "Albert, treat the cook to a meal tomorrow. Someone who leaves after preparing it." "Of course, sir," Albert happily agreed. Devin pouted. Was her cooking really that bad? Taking a bite, Devin instantly recoiled, exclaiming, "Oh my God, how could something so repulsive exist?" Albert and Jeremy exchanged glances. That was precisely what they were thinking. Devin glanced at her companions and gently pressed her lips together. "Why don't we go out to eat? My treat," she suggested. Jeremy stood up, dismissing the idea. "I still have work to do. I'll just have some bread. Albert, please prepare a cup of coffee for me." "Yes, sir," Albert acquiesced, preferring bread over their current meal. Devin's expression turned sheepish. "For your health, I already threw away the bread." Jeremy took a deep breath, feeling particularly unlucky that day. Albert looked at Jeremy and suggested, "Sir, why don't you go out and eat?" After exhaling a long breath, Jeremy relented. All right. The three of them drove back to a popular part of New York City. Following Devin's recommendation, they arrived at a restaurant she recently saw in an advertisement. "This is the one the TV said it's incredibly delicious." "Sir, miss, please go in first. I'll park the car," Albert offered as he parked the car on the side. "Okay." Devin opened the car door and led Jeremy into the restaurant. "Hello, may I know your names?" the hostess asked as they approached. "3 of us," Devin replied, showing 3 fingers. "I'm sorry, all 3 to 4 seat tables are taken. Could you wait for a moment to check for available seats?" The hostess smiled apologetically. "But we're very hungry." Devin observed that most of the seats in the restaurant were occupied during the mealtime rush. She sought an alternative solution. "Could you give us a 2-person table and we'll just add a seat?" "Sure, that's possible," the hostess agreed, and Devin led Jeremy to their newly arranged table. Upon sitting down, Devin immediately began ordering dishes. She selected a few recommended items and some dishes she had seen advertised on TV. As she studied Jeremy's appearance, she commented, Jeremy, don't you think it's time for a new hairstyle? Your hair has grown quite long." Jeremy made a hushing gesture, leaning back against the chair while attentively listening to the conversation at the nearby table behind him. Devin followed his gaze and noticed a young couple chatting. The boy faced them, and the girl had her back turned. The restaurant's noise made it difficult for Devin to hear clearly, but Jeremy had no trouble catching their conversation. "Pamela," the boy was saying to the girl, "were the 2 girls we saw earlier Wendy and Millie?" "Yes," Pamela replied, supporting her chin with one hand. They were the ones who caused the rift between Liv and me. They'd be such close friends, sharing everything, but those two won't let it happen. That's despicable. Mark DeLillo leaned in and said, I never expected them to be so cunning at such a young age. Exactly, Pamela sighed. Liv was deceived by them, and we've had several arguments in the past. I've been criticized for being loyal to her. Pamela, don't be too sad. Karma will take care of the mean girls. Let me propose a toast to you, Mark suggested, lifting his juice cup. To a cute and kind girl like you. You're making me blush. I'm not as good as you say, though. Pamela blushed. I'm just a bit too honest. Sometimes I unintentionally say the wrong things. I admire girls like you. Mark raised his glass to clink with Pamela's, but he didn't actually drink from it. Instead, he gazed at her affectionately. Pamela blushed even more under his intense stare. She lowered her head slightly, her cherry red lips meeting the rim of the glass as she took a sip of juice. Today, I'll let you treat me. No need to thank me. Mark DeLillo smiled warmly, taking a sip of his own juice. There's an exam tomorrow morning, so you should take it easy and get some rest. And maybe next time we see each other, I might need you to guide me around a few more times. I'd be honored to, Pamela replied with a smile. Mark DeLillo changed the subject and whispered something into Pamela's ear. His voice was pleasant and magnetic, causing her cheeks to flush even deeper. At that moment, she found it hard to concentrate on anything else. When this plan succeeds, it'll undoubtedly mend your relationship with Liv and let her know who her real friend is, Mark explained with a smile. Really? Pamela felt her cheeks heating up. Although she had heard Mark's words just now, she did not really understand it. Tomorrow night, I will be leaving New York City to go to the next exam location with the other examinees, Mark told her. It is not certain when I will have the chance to meet up with you again in the future. Very true, Pamela said, hesitant. So we should go through with my plan. If we do it tomorrow, it'll be beneficial to you without any harm. Mark looked at Pamela's doubtful expression and paused for a moment to straighten his posture. And he looked at Pamela's eyes again and said, Actually, this time, instead of just helping you, I am also helping myself. Pamela looked at Mark in confusion. Since you and Olivia are good friends, then you must know Olivia as well, Mark explained. Yes, Pamela nodded. She naturally knew about Olivia's family background. Otherwise, she would not have wanted to get closer to Olivia. Olivia is one of the heiresses to the Johnsons' food fortune, Mark said. I should say that I hope that after you and Olivia make up, you can help her say a few good words about my family. I shouldn't have come here personally to discuss business matters, but my father has been unable to talk about it. I feel a little anxious and uneasy when I see him. It would be best if we could talk about it. But if we can't, then I'll just treat it as me doing a good deed on his behalf. Mark smiled. I've always believed that good deeds will always be rewarded. Pamela looked at Mark and said with a smile, I did not expect you to be so kind and conscious of helping your family. Mark smiled and shook his head. I think kindness is valuable in today's greedy society. Cheers. Pamela held up her cup and smiled sweetly. Hello. Mark touched his cup to Pamela's again. That I will wait for you at the Imperial Court Hotel at noon tomorrow. Okay, sounds good, Pamela said with certainty in her eyes. A few tables away from Pamela and Mark, Jeremy leaned against the back of the chair and straightened his upper body. He could not hear exactly what they were whispering just now, but he heard the words noon tomorrow and Imperial Court Hotel. Jeremy's attention was pulled back to reality when his sister Devon suddenly said, Before we head home, let's stop to buy some vegetables. Miss, you want to cook again? Albert looked at Devon worriedly. Even if I don't, the maids will cook tomorrow. Devon rolled her eyes. At that moment, A waiter began to set their dishes in front of them. Devin picked up her fork. "Ooh, let's eat." The table behind them had just finished eating, so Jeremy slightly turned his body and tilted his head sideways. He watched Pamela and Mark leave their seats with a smile as they paid their bill. After the two of them left, Devin asked, "You know those people? Are they in your class?" "One is." Jeremy nodded and started eating. "They look quite compatible," Devin said, "but that guy looks sketchy. He doesn't look like a good person." I don't know that Pamela's a great person either," Jeremy mumbled. Then it really is a good match." Devin shook her head. "Hey, try the shrimp. It's their specialty." Jeremy concentrated on eating and did not say anything. After they were finished, he then paid their bill, and Devin made Albert and Jeremy go to the nearby grocery store to buy vegetables. Jeremy followed absent-mindedly, wondering all the while to himself what Pamela and this Mark guy were plotting. What were they planning to do to Olivia? He thought. What should I do? Should I stop Pamela? How? Jeremy was very conflicted. This dilemma continued until the next morning when he arrived at school. The moment he entered the classroom, he saw Olivia sitting at their shared desk. Today's elite student competition exam was from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., an hour of oral examinations and 2 hours of written examinations. When the time came, she would go to the examination venue. After sitting in his seat, Jeremy wasn't sure what to say. After hesitating for a moment, he was just about to open his mouth when Pamela came over to talk to Olivia. "Olivia, how have you done in your exams the past few days?" Pamela stood at Olivia's table and asked. "Fine." Olivia looked up at her. "What's the matter?" "Today's English exam is in our school's home turf. Where are you going after this?" Pamela asked. "Out," Olivia replied. "What do you want?" "I want to treat you to a meal this afternoon." Pamela curled the corner of her mouth and said, "I think we got off on the wrong foot before, and I want to make peace with you." Olivia looked at Pamela from head to toe and smiled as she said, "No thanks." Olivia raised the corner of her mouth and crossed her arms before her chest. Suppressing the anger in her heart, Pamela once again put out a smile. "I sincerely want to get along with you, please. We're not children, so let's just get along." "I am still underage, actually," Olivia shrugged. "So maybe I am a child." "Olivia, I am serious. I know I was a little narrow-minded before. That's my fault. I admit it. I just hope you can give me a chance. Let's shake hands and make peace, okay? I know of a great seafood place, and they do a great after-school special. So let me take you my treat. I just want to extend an olive branch." Pamela tried to make herself appear more sincere. "Pamela, what part of what you said is true, and what part of it is false? Why do I not believe it?" Millie cut in, noticing the situation as soon as she entered the classroom. She didn't even put down her bag before walking over. "Millie, why do you always have to butt in?" Pamela looked like she was about to cry out of grievance. In her heart, she secretly scolded Millie for being so meddlesome. "Why do you always start crap with Olivia?" Millie retorted. "It's okay, Millie," Olivia said. "It's just a meal. I'll go with her." Pamela heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Olivia's words, and a trace of pride flashed across her eyes. "Then it's settled. But eating with Wendy and me is much better than going with her," Millie snorted. She always felt that Pamela had bad intentions. "Rude," Pamela said. "What was the meaning of this morning?" "It's okay, Mill. Since Pamela sincerely wants to shake hands and make peace, I have to hear her out. After all, we are all in the same class. There's no need to be so unforgiving." Olivia waved her hand before winking at Millie. "Come on, let's go to the examination venue." Pamela nodded. "Good luck," Pamela said, smiling brightly. As long as Liv was willing to get food with her, she could complete Mark DeLillo's plan. Pamela returned to her seat full of evil thoughts. "Are you really going to eat with Pamela?" Jeremy asked. "Sure," Olivia replied with a smile, though she was a little surprised that Jeremy would ask this. Seeing that Jeremy did not speak again after, Olivia continued beyond him into the hallway. She greeted a few classmates, and they smiled and wished her good luck on her next exam. Jeremy looked at Olivia's back and frowned. I have to go with her when she sees Pamela later, he thought. He was worried. When Olivia left the classroom, Millie asked her, Do you really want to grab food with Pamela? Of course, Olivia smiled. If she did not go, it would be a waste of Pamela and Mark's big chess game. She could tell from reading Pamela's mind that they were up to something, and she was eager to see what it was, and to take them down as soon as possible. Then be careful. Millie hooked her arm around Olivia's shoulder and said, Do you need Wendy and me to accompany you? No need. Olivia waved her hand. I will go myself. Okay. Just as the two of them were talking, Wendy walked over from the opposite side of the hall with her bag on her back. You guys going to take your next exam? Wendy asked. Yes. Olivia and Millie nodded. Good luck. I hope you win. Wendy cheered. Thank you. After saying goodbye to Wendy, the two went to the examination venue. This morning's examination was surprisingly smooth, and Olivia felt that her performance was very good. After the examination, just as she left the examination hall, Olivia saw Pamela standing outside the hallway waiting for her. With a mocking smile, Olivia walked over. Didn't you say you'd wait for me elsewhere? I'm worried that you don't know the way. Pamela pretended to be familiar with Olivia and hooked her arm around Olivia's arm. She was still worried that Olivia would go back on her word. Olivia pulled her arm out from Pamela's embrace and took a step to the side to widen the distance. I wouldn't get lost. Trust me. Pamela did not get angry when she felt Olivia's alienation. She only smiled and said, I know, I was just trying to do a good thing. Well, thank you in that case. Olivia smiled mechanically and did not speak any more nonsense with her. By the time they got to the restaurant, there was already a table waiting for them, with food pre-ordered and already set out in front of them. Liv, try this, Pamela said upon sitting down, as she gestured for Liv to try some of the food. You can eat as much as you want. This meal is for me to apologize to you. Okay. Olivia had always been very open-minded about eating, so she started to eat. This Imperial Court Hotel was located at the intersection across from Marshall High School. It was a nice area, so business had always been good, and there were all kinds of luxury cars parked at the entrance. Although the cost was higher, it also meant the restaurant was excellent, too. It's good that you like it. Pamela saw that Olivia was so focused on eating and secretly despised her. I heard that this place's most famous dish is their boiled crab. Olivia suddenly looked up and said to Pamela, Ah! Pamela was stunned. What? The boiled crab? I know it's a seafood place, but this is what everyone recommends. Shouldn't we at least try it since we're here? Olivia chewed the dishes in her mouth with a faint smile. Pamela pursed her lips and called the waiter over. Can you add some crab, please? Pamela rolled her eyes in her heart, thinking that Olivia was making her spend more on purpose. But thinking about it carefully, she did not care much about it since it was Mark DeLilla who paid. Oh, just so you know, you have to pay for the dishes ahead of time. So if you order more, we'll have to charge you up at the counter before we bring it out. The waiter said politely. What? Pay first? Pamela was stunned. What kind of rule was that? Was this a fast food restaurant? Pamela looked at Olivia. Maybe we don't need the crab. Asking her to pay, what kind of joke was this? How didn't you already know you have to pay first? Olivia looked at the table full of dishes. Didn't you pay for this? Or did you treat me to a meal without paying? No, I knew how it worked. Pamela immediately said, I paid the money when I ordered it previously. I just forgot about it for a moment. She took out her wallet and took out $50 from it. I'll, pay for the crab cash. Seeing that there were only $5 left in her wallet after this, Pamela felt an incomparable pain. Okay. The waiter took Pamela's money and was about to leave when he heard Olivia's voice. Wait a minute. Can you add another side of the garlic lobster butter too, please? Olivia looked at Pamela with a smile, hearing that Pamela was almost out of money. No problem. That'll be $5 extra. Is that okay? The waiter looked at Pamela after he finished speaking. Pamela gritted her teeth and forced herself to give the last $5 in her wallet. Here. Okay, please wait a moment. The waiter took the cash and turned around to leave the table. After a while, he brought a side of butter. Pamela, don't you want to drink something? Olivia asked. No need. Pamela did not have any money for drinks. She could only suppress her anger and prepare to eat a few more bites of the food. No matter what, she had to act like everything was okay so that her and Mark's plan would work. Not long after the water was served, a few hooligans dressed like riffraff walked in, wearing saggy jeans and tattered flannel shirts. As soon as they walked in, they walked straight towards Olivia and Pamela. Yo, you two got any money or food to spare? Who are you? Pamela pretended to be shocked and said, You guys leave us alone. If you don't, I will call security. Whoa, what's wrong with eating in the hotel? Do we need to call security on you for giving us grief? The leader with dyed hair reached out to grab a piece of shrimp off Olivia's plate. You won't be able to finish this anyway. From the moment this person reached out his hand, Olivia stopped eating and picked up a napkin to wipe her mouth and hands. She suddenly didn't have an appetite. The taste is not bad. The man in the lead took a big bite. You guys really know how to order. Come, let's all sample the food. His friends also grabbed some of the appetizers and ate them. Seeing their eating habits, Olivia grimaced. But she could see that Pamela was thinking these people were part of some sort of plan. Pamela saw that Olivia did not look scared or angry at all, so she used her hand to fiercely slam the table. Get lost! Did you hear me? Wow, you're fierce, aren't you, little girl? I'll teach you a lesson. The leader with the dyed hair said. Poofed! Olivia could not help but burst out laughing. Pamela heard Olivia's laughter, and her face turned red. In her heart, she blamed Mark for finding a few hoodlums who weren't convincing enough to scare Olivia. In reality, though, this was Pamela's fault. Mark wasn't from Manhattan to begin with, so he didn't know which restaurant to book, and he didn't know which people he should pay to carry out his plan. The leader of the group suddenly slammed down on the table and shouted, Do you know who I am? Olivia winced at the volume, but she still cooperated and asked, Who are you? This is Otis. The person next to him immediately said. Oh, Olivia shrugged. You guys are from Marshall High, right? Otis asked. You bookworms don't know anything except reading and studying. Why don't you give me your money and I will find some fun for you guys to liven up your lives a bit? Ooh, not interested, Olivia said nonchalantly. But thanks for the fun suggestion. She wasn't afraid of Otis. She knew her own powers and capabilities. Olivia laughed mockingly. You dare to mock me? Otis was furious. You're quite bold. You're looking for a beating. At this moment, Mark DeLillo came in from outside. Hey, what are you doing? He shouted. Listen, twerp, I'm warning you not to meddle in other people's business. Otis pointed at Robbie and warned. How dare you try to harass these girls, let alone in broad daylight? Mark DeLillo's angry eyes grew large. He looked at all the people in front of him. Everyone was playing their part perfectly, just as he had organized and paid them to. Beside him, Olivia's mind moved, and she instantly heard all the thoughts in everyone's mind. The corner of her mouth raised slightly. She could see that Mark's plan was to rush in here and pretend to save Olivia and Pamela from these pestering hoodlums. Mark was even planning to suffer a minor injury to make it all seem more realistic, so that Olivia would feel indebted to him and shed tears of gratitude. This, he hoped, would be the start of a friendship in which Olivia depended on him, and he could use her status to help himself and his family. This wishful thinking is pretty well thought out, Olivia thought. But with their poor acting skills, it seems like these people are putting on the show just to make me laugh. As she thought this, Otis suddenly unveiled a knife. At that very moment, Jeremy, who had been following Olivia, leapt forward, not realizing that all of this was simply a ruse. I have to protect Olivia, he thought. He immediately leapt forward and grabbed the knife from Otis with his bare hands. He then threw it to the two hoodlums beside Otis and broke the chair beside them to use as a weapon should he need it. Mark stood stunned. This wasn't part of the plan. He looked at Jeremy's smooth and natural movements. Olivia was also stunned. Jeremy suddenly didn't seem like an ordinary high school student with a gloomy expression. Mark shook his head. Even though Jeremy had intervened, the plan still had to be carried out. One of Otis's friends was clearly about to use the knife to pretend to stab Olivia. But seeing this, Jeremy did not move. Mark took a step forward to block Olivia from Otis's friend and shouted loudly, "Be careful!" Olivia saw his actions and picked up the broken chair leg. She then defensively held it in front of her and used all her strength to chop at Mark's right arm. "He'll think I was just acting reflexively, and he got caught in the crosshairs," she mused as the dull sound of impact shocked everyone. Jeremy saw Olivia's expression at this time and was also stunned. What kind of expression was that? He had never seen that kind of gaze. It looked like one of animalistic hatred. That gaze interweaved with all the extreme negative emotions of human beings, and yet it appeared in the eyes of a 17-year-old girl right now. Before Mark could react, he covered his arm and screamed. The pain made him unable to say a word. His brain went blank, and he instantly broke out in a sweat. "Mark!" Pamela shouted, "Are you okay?" Her voice was trembling. This was the first time she had seen such a scene. "Ah!" Mark really wanted Pamela to call an ambulance for him, but he was in so much pain that he could not speak. He could only struggle on the ground with his arms crossed. Jeremy only needed one look to know that Mark's arm had been broken by Olivia's stick. This girl must have used all her strength. "Hey, Otis, what should we do?" The group of hooligans also panicked. They were just students who liked ditching class and playing arcade games. They just accepted Mark's money to play a role, but they never thought something bad would actually happen. This has nothing to do with us," Otis said. He quickly took a few steps back. "Let's go." Olivia calmly took out her phone and called 911. "Hello? Yes, someone is injured at the Imperial Court Hotel. Can someone come quickly? It was a matter of self-defense." Olivia glanced at the anxious Pamela and then looked at Mark, who was lying on the ground. She had been waiting for this moment for a long time. A long, long time. Does breaking bones hurt? She thought. It definitely wouldn't be more painful than a wheel crushing an arm, right? She remembered how in her past life, he crushed her with his car. You deserve this, she thought, watching him writhe in pain. I'm being nice calling for help, but it's only so you can get better, and then I can hurt you again, and again, and again. After hanging up the emergency call, Olivia squatted beside Pamela and looked at Mark, pretending to be concerned. How are you? Are you all right? I'm really sorry. No, it's fine. Mark's lips turned pale from the pain. But no matter what the process was, he had achieved his goal. Olivia was sitting here feeling bad, getting close to him. It's good that you are not injured and it's just me. I was just trying to save you. Pamela gritted her teeth in anger when she saw this. The ambulance arrived very quickly. Mark was carefully carried onto the ambulance by the medical staff on a stretcher. Olivia wanted to laugh, but she had to hold it in. It was hard. At that moment, her waiter, who had been in the kitchen, carefully carried the crabs Olivia ordered out. Miss, what should I do with your dishes? Pack them up, Olivia replied. I have no appetite. She looked at Pamela. And let her know what the repair fee for the chair will be. She chose this place and said the meal would be her treat. After saying this, Olivia picked up the dishes that the waiter had packed and asked for a few pairs of disposable utensils. She waved her hand and said, Bye, Pamela. See you at school. Hey, Olivia! Olivia! Pamela was stunned. How could Liv be like this? So you wanted to settle the cost for the chair? The waiter asked, looking at Pamela. In a moment of desperation, Pamela could only close her eyes and pretend to faint. The waiter, exasperated, called for help, and soon another ambulance rushed over and took her away. Seeing the two ambulances leaving the hotel, Olivia whistled to herself. She was in a good mood as she carried the dishes and walked on the road. It was a pity that it was not enough to relieve all her hatred, though. As she crossed the street, she glanced behind her and suddenly saw a person following her from a distance. Jeremy, she thought. Olivia stopped and waited for a while until he caught up to her. Jeremy realized Olivia was waiting for him, so he walked to where she was standing. "Thank you for rushing to help me today," Olivia smiled and said. "Anytime." Jeremy looked at Olivia. He realized even her eyes were smiling, which means she was honestly happy. How could she be so happy after breaking a person's arm, though? Even if it was an accident. Was she simply happy she hadn't been stabbed by those hooligans? "Do you have a grudge against that Mark guy?" Jeremy asked. This was the only answer Jeremy could think of. "Maybe," Olivia nodded. "Aren't you afraid that he'll call the police because you broke his arm?" Jeremy asked. "No, he won't dare." Olivia was sure about this. If he called the police, he would definitely have to reveal the entire trap that he had set up today with Otis and all those dangerous kids. The best way for him to act in his best interest was to get close to Olivia as possible and use her. She knew Mark would think of more ways to make Olivia remember his kindness and love him. He would not do anything unnecessary to make himself look bad. It would ruin Olivia's impression of him. So no, this time he did not call the police. He instead hoped that Olivia would feel guilty. After all, she broke his arm with his own hands. It was good that he had panicked. He did not remember whether it was unintentional or not. Things were going as planned for Mark. Jeremy did not say anything else. Instead, he quietly walked shoulder to shoulder with Olivia. His steps were very light, and the faint fragrance of her body was carried by the wind. He smelled this fragrance many times in the classroom. The following day at lunch, Olivia called Millie, Wendy, Francis, and the others to her table. "I brought leftovers today." "Ooh, what delicious food is this?" Wendy came over to take a look. "Oh my God, stir-fried crab? What? There's delicious food?" Steve also walked over and stood behind Wendy. Feeling Steve's voice echoing in her ears, Wendy instantly froze and her fork almost fell from her hands. "Wendy, help me pick up a piece." Steve smacked his lips and urged. Wendy was stunned for a moment. She could feel her hand shaking. Seeing her like this, Olivia and Millie looked at each other and smiled. She was still too nervous whenever she talked to Steve. "Jeremy, you want to try it too?" Olivia picked up a piece and handed it to Jeremy. No matter what, Jeremy had helped her yesterday, and he deserved her friendship, she figured. "Sure," Jeremy answered and tried a piece. Steve saw this and raised the corner of his mouth slightly. "Liv, can I have another piece?" Olivia's beautiful eyes turned. "I'm too far away from you. Ask Wendy to hand it to you." Wendy was shocked and immediately looked at Olivia. "No way, don't play with me anymore," she thought. She was so nervous. But she immediately picked up another piece and gave it to Steve. "Here." She wanted any excuse to talk to him. "Thank you very much." Steve took it and thought that Wendy probably did not want to talk to him. "This is very delicious. What restaurant is it from?" Francis asked. "It's from the Imperial Court Hotel," Olivia answered. "It was an interesting experience eating there." In the afternoon, Olivia and Millie left high school once again. On the bus, Olivia heard Millie discussing Mark DeLillo's broken arm. Millie said, "Did you hear about Mark? His injury is pretty bad. He won't be able to continue with the examinations. They're transferring him back to his home city after he stabilizes in the city center hospital." Upon hearing this news, Olivia smiled to herself. "I'd expected this outcome," she thought. "In my previous life, Mark and Pamela both excelled and won the first prize in the National Elite Student Competition. But in this life, it seems they're destined for a different path, a path of misfortune." At night, she and Millie reached the next exam location and checked into the school-arranged hotel, sharing a room. The Navy-themed decor, with blue walls adorned with pictures of marine creatures, intrigued them. Olivia remarked, "It's quite an interesting room, despite its size." Early the next morning, Olivia, still lying on the bed, couldn't sleep. She reminisced about her encounters with Mark in her previous life. Pamela used to praise him constantly, she thought, and slowly, I fell in love with him during our university years. Millie asked, "Are you all right? You seem restless." Olivia smiled. "I'm just thinking about some things from the past." Millie nodded, understanding her friend's feelings. No matter what happens next, she vowed to herself, I won't let that one goal, that person who destroyed me, slip away from me. Thinking that Olivia was just nervous about the exams, Millie reassured her. "You've got this. We'll face whatever comes together." In his home on the outskirts of New York City, Jeremy was engrossed in his computer work when his thoughts drifted to Olivia. He murmured to himself, "She is toxic, yet I find myself getting drawn deeper into her world." Closing his eyes, Jeremy tried to clear his mind, but the girl's image persisted. He wondered about that guy Mark DeLillo's grudge against Olivia, as they seemed unfamiliar with each other. What's going on there? He pondered aloud. Shaking off his thoughts, Jeremy decided to rest and closed his computer. I'll figure it out later, he said to himself. In the city center hospital, Mark was drenched in sweat due to the intense anesthesia. The pain in his arm fueled his hatred toward Olivia. Damn Olivia. He gritted his teeth. I won't rest until she pays for this. As he finally drifted into sleep, Mark vowed never to forgive Olivia for what she had done. But he would still use her, he told himself. A couple of days later, Mark was transferred back to his hometown for further treatment. Meanwhile, Olivia and Millie successfully completed all their exams and returned to school, receiving applause and encouragement from their classmates. Everyone gushed, "You did great! Well done!" Olivia and Millie smiled gratefully, but Pamela watched with mixed emotions. Over the past few days, Pamela had visited Mark regularly, witnessing the severity of his injuries and how much weight he had lost. She had even advised him to involve the police, but to her surprise, Mark defended Olivia, stating that she didn't break his arm on purpose. Pamela couldn't fathom why he would be so naive. Even if it wasn't intentional, Olivia's affluent family should at least bear the medical expenses. As they spent more time together, Pamela couldn't help but be deeply moved by Mark's kindness and sincerity. He was truly the epitome of a good-hearted man in the modern era. Recalling Mark's vulnerable state in the hospital and contrasting it with Olivia's proud demeanor, Pamela felt an overwhelming sense of injustice now. She couldn't keep silent any longer, and in class, she couldn't help but lash out at Olivia. Why are you still able to laugh while Mark is hurt? Pamela's words echoed through the hushed classroom as everyone exchanged glances, wondering what Pamela was upset about. Unfazed, Olivia responded calmly. Why shouldn't I be able to laugh? I don't see any reason to feel guilty just to satisfy you. Pamela couldn't hold back. How can you not feel guilty? Mark got injured because of you. He got hurt because you didn't want him to participate in the student elite competition anymore. Olivia maintained her composure, but she replied coldly. That's an absurd thought. You were the one who invited me to dinner that day, and when I declined, you insisted. Many of our classmates can testify to that. Defensively, Pamela replied, So what? Yes, I wanted to get along with you, but now I see your true colors. You are nothing but a villain. Mocking her, Olivia questioned, Get along with me for the sake of the class? How noble. But let's face it, you didn't even qualify for the competition. Not because you ranked your grades, but because of your behavior, right? Have you ever considered how much of the class's average score has suffered because of your incompetence? If you can't handle your own matters, how can you claim to be doing anything for the class? Who do you think you are? You! Pamela felt a sharp sting in her vulnerable spot from Olivia's words and immediately grew angry, her embarrassment fueling her frustration. You ungrateful little twit! What gives you the right to talk to me like that? Olivia smiled with disdain. Ungrateful? Let's not get into who is ungrateful, shall we? Perplexed, Pamela didn't think she owed Olivia anything. What do you mean? Wasn't it you who invited me out for a meal? Olivia asked assertively, cutting through Pamela's defense. Yes, so what? Pamela crossed her arms, believing this was something Olivia should be grateful for. If you hadn't invited me, I wouldn't have encountered those rogues, let alone what happened after that, right? Olivia met Pamela's eyes and continued, Don't act like you bear no responsibility. Don't forget that you were the one who provoked those hooligans in the first place. Pamela frowned, feeling that Olivia's words were unjust, as she herself had not spoken rudely to Otis in the first place. But Olivia didn't give Pamela a chance to speak. Regardless, you should apologize to me first, instead of blaming me the moment you open your mouth. Let's take a step back. Even if I accidentally injured Mark, don't you have any responsibility at all? No, Pamela tried to interject. Olivia didn't let her speak again. Your voice is so loud and you're righteously indignant. Are you trying to avoid taking responsibility? Or are you trying to do something about it? No, of course not. Pamela attempted to argue, but the bell rang, signaling the start of class, and Adam entered the room holding a book. His presence brought an end to the confrontation. What are y'all standing around for? Adam addressed the class. He noticed Olivia and Pamela standing face to face at a distance. The other students were observing, unsure how to intervene. It's time for class. Return to your seats. Everyone sat down as Adam instructed, but Pamela glared at Olivia before taking her seat. This incident marked the end of any semblance of a relationship between the two. Her classmates noticed, but they were mostly used to such conflicts, as it was common for a class to have one or two students who didn't get along. Besides, most of the kids in the junior class had already formed a negative impression of Pamela after her actions with Mr. Dickens and all her outbursts and schemes, like feigning sickness to skip class. Now let's give Millie and Olivia a round of applause for their participation in the elite student competition, Adam said with a smile, shifting the focus. The class clapped in response to his request. These two classmates have been missing out on regular class notes during this period. Remember to share with them, Adam instructed, flipping open the book. Now everyone open your books, let's dive into today's lesson. The classroom fell into silence as the soft sound of pages being turned filled the air. The warm sunlight streamed through the bright windows, casting a beautiful glow on the focused expressions of the students. After class, Wendy handed her notebook and book to Olivia. This is my language notebook. I've highlighted key points and left some notes behind them if you need to get caught up. Thank you, Olivia said, flipping through the notebook, noticing the many doodles Wendy had drawn. Wendy, your drawings are impressive. Your talent has improved significantly since middle school. Oh, it's just random doodling. Wendy smiled modestly. She wasn't particularly skilled at anything, so she dedicated herself to studying and working hard. However, she often felt ordinary and unremarkable. This little robot is adorable, Olivia said, pointing to one of the drawings. And this little claw is just too cute. You even gave it a really cute face. Your imagination is truly impressive. This little robot is called Lightman, Wendy explained. My concept is set in a world where humans have disappeared. I've drawn a series of these robots with similar appearances but different roles. They're responsible for maintaining order in the absence of humans, like adjusting the traffic lights in their own town every day. Each robot has its own responsibilities. That's fascinating. Olivia expressed her interest. Is there a story behind it? Yes. Wendy flipped a few more pages and showed Olivia drawings of 3 children with distinct actions. These 3 children are survivors from scientists' incubators. They're the offspring of the scientists who created the robots. Their arrival disrupts the daily routines and work of the robots, revealing that humans haven't gone extinct. Instead, they were driven away by highly intelligent robots, which subsequently split into 2 factions. One faction wants to maintain the current status quo and opposes the return of humans, while the other faction supports the return of humans. What a fantastic concept! Olivia nodded enthusiastically. It would make for an intriguing cartoon or comic book. I only doodled it for fun. It couldn't possibly be a real career, though. Wendy blushed bashfully. Anyway, don't focus on my doodles. Take a closer look at my notes. Tomorrow is Saturday, and you can copy anything you don't understand and ask me anytime. Okay, Olivia agreed, flipping through the notebook once more before closing it. The remaining lessons of the day proceeded smoothly. Soon it was time for school to end. Olivia collected the borrowed notes from her classmates, her school bag now filled to the brim, causing her shoulders to feel the weight. "Let's head home." Millie was always the quickest to pack up. "Millie, your school bag looks so light. Didn't you put any notes in it?" Olivia inquired, eyeing Millie's seemingly unburdened bag. "I don't normally take notes." Millie shrugged nonchalantly. "Ah, I see." Olivia nodded, thinking that whatever the bookworm said must be true. "Afternoon classes always make me feel like I skipped lunch." Wendy rubbed her stomach. "I can't wait to get home. I'm sure my mom has cooked something delicious, though." "Wait a minute, Liv." Frances stopped Olivia. "Would you like to meet tomorrow afternoon to discuss the new business plan I wrote for our video games?" "Sure," Olivia said. If this was a matter that needed immediate attention, she had plenty of time to spare. Upon stepping out of the classroom, Olivia immediately sensed the weight of her bag, causing her to take a couple of steps back and inadvertently collide with someone. Frowning, she turned her head and addressed the person behind her. "Chris, can you refrain from playing such elementary school pranks? Why were you tugging at my bag?" "I'm not all right," replied Chris, directing his gaze toward Millie and Wendy. "You two go ahead. I need to speak with her." All right," Millie and Wendy said with concealed smirks as they bid farewell to Olivia and Chris and left with their arms crossed. "Chris, what are you talking about? What's wrong?" Olivia turned back and inquired. "You asked me to help you with something, and then I heard nothing from you?" Chris observed Olivia. "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to inform you that I resolved the matter on my own, so I didn't need your assistance anymore." Olivia apologized with a smile. Chris said nothing and merely looked at her. She could see he was struggling to say something, but even his thoughts were cloudy. "Are you upset?" Olivia asked cautiously, acknowledging her mistake and understanding if he was annoyed with her forgetfulness. It was reasonable that he wanted to hold her accountable. Chris extended his hand to pat Olivia's head and said, "I will get over it. Thank you for apologizing, I guess." Olivia was taken aback. A faint smile crept onto her face, and a gentle warmth welled up in her heart. Meanwhile, Jeremy, carrying his bag and preparing to leave school, frowned when he witnessed Olivia smiling at Chris. He pulled his bag straps and walked away, muttering under his breath, "You're in the way." "I'm sorry." Olivia hastily stepped back. "You can pass." Jeremy moved between them, out of Olivia's line of sight, and cast a hostile glance at Chris. Blushing, Olivia said, "I'm sorry again, Chris, that I've been so preoccupied. I told Francis I'd talk to him about some video game stuff, but can I make it up to you later?" Before awaiting a response longer than a nod, Liv hurriedly took off down the hall. As she walked, she pondered the situation. Chris still harbored animosity toward her, which she found rather confusing. But what was even more vexing was her own momentary absent-mindedness during their encounter. She had completely forgotten about him while dealing with her own issues over the last few days. What was wrong with her? They had an agreement to help each other out, though their agreement was merely a 5-year deal, wasn't it? Besides, she had larger goals to accomplish here, goals she had been brought back from the dead to accomplish. Upon reaching her mansion, Olivia overheard Rachel conversing with Grandpa Jack and Michael about Monica's return the next day. "Monica will be back from the West Coast tomorrow. She's really fortunate. The doctor said she's in good health overall and will be fully recovered after a week of rest," Rachel joyfully remarked, missing her beloved daughter during her absence. "Indeed," nodded Michael. "Have the servants properly arranged Monica's room?" "Yes," replied Rachel, "and I've replaced some of the bedding in her room with new stuff, so she can feel like it's more pillowy and soft to help her rest. Once Monica returns, tell her to take it easy and focus on recuperating. She should avoid attending gatherings and events for the time being," Michael advised. "Understood," agreed Rachel, comprehending the reasoning behind Michael's request. The previous social gathering they attended had caused significant negative consequences for Monica. Rumors were now circulating, making it best for Monica to keep a low profile until the situation subsided. "What about school?" Grandpa Jack asked, taking a sip of coffee. "Dad, I've already spoken to Monica's teachers to let them know she'll be returning. She can go back to school normally next Monday." Rachel paused before suggesting, "Considering Monica lost a lot of study time during this period, honey, would you consider hiring a new tutor for her?" The thought of going through the difficulty of finding Monica a new tutor immediately gave Michael a headache. "Let's discuss this after Monica comes back," he suggested wearily. "Okay." Rachel acknowledged Michael's concerns, understanding that it was Monica's negligence that had caused the issue and didn't want to upset her husband further. "I'm back," Olivia announced her presence as she entered the room. "Oh, Olivia, hello." Rachel greeted her stepdaughter with a fake smile. "Is your tutor, Vera, not coming over today?" "Vera will come next Monday since I just finished my exams this week. She asked me to catch up with the school's curriculum in the meantime," Olivia replied, noticing Rachel's continued attempts to persuade Vera to become Monica's tutor, which she found exasperating. Her stepmother seemed relentless in her pursuit of what she wanted, regardless of others' opinions. "Wow, are the exams all over in the National Elite Student Competition? I hadn't realized. How did you perform?" Michael asked Olivia gently, recognizing that she had always been a source of pleasant surprises. He was exceedingly pleased with his daughter's obedience, intelligence, and sensibility, especially her representation of Marshall High School in the National Elite Student Competition. "I did well. I believe I did pretty well in both English and the foreign language exam. The mathematics exam was a bit challenging, though," Olivia shared thoughtfully. "That's good." Michael nodded in approval. Rachel clenched her fists as she watched Michael and his oldest daughter converse, growing increasingly worried about Monica's situation as the second favorite in her father's eyes. She knew she had to discuss potential solutions with Monica when she returned. However, Rachel could not have anticipated the profound transformation that awaited her daughter. When Monica arrived back in the Johnson mansion, she exuded elegance, clad in a splendid warm yellow dress and carrying a vintage-style European leather suitcase. Her confident and reserved smile radiated charm, and she appeared completely at ease. How did Monica grow so mature and elegant in just a week? Rachel wondered to herself. Rachel warmly embraced Monica, inquiring about her tiredness and whether she missed home. "Of course I missed home." Monica smiled affectionately and presented her family with thoughtful gifts she had bought. For her grandpa, who loved reading, she chose a beautifully bound leather journal where he could pen down his stories and memories. For her father, who was writing all the time, she bought a beautiful fountain pen. For her fashion-forward and stylish mother, Monica wanted to find a gift that would make her feel even more glamorous and chic. She got Rachel a stunning West Coast designer handbag that perfectly matched her mother's taste, adorned with intricate details and embellishments. Its elegant design and versatility made it a perfect accessory for any occasion, whether it was a casual outing or a special event. And for Olivia, who was always listening to her headphones on their drive to school, Monica picked out a set of high-quality headphones that would elevate her listening experience and immerse her in her favorite tunes. Rachel was overjoyed by the gifts and marveled at Monica's maturity and thoughtfulness. She couldn't quite pinpoint the exact changes in her daughter, but she sensed that Monica had undergone a remarkable transformation. She patted Monica's head lovingly and commented, "Monica, you have truly grown up." Monica's lips burst into a bright smile. Olivia watched, suspicious, but she didn't have much time to say anything or read Monica's thoughts before she had told Francis she would meet with him in a few minutes to discuss his business ideas for their potential video game company. She also had to return Wendy's notes after she finished copying them into her notebook. Monica turned and asked, "Liv, are you heading out?" "Yes," Olivia replied, studying Monica. It seemed that Monica's appearance hadn't changed much after her trip to the West Coast, even though Rachel seemed to think so. I should head out now. Olivia waved goodbye gracefully. All right, take care, Olivia. Monica smiled faintly and bid farewell. As Olivia left, Monica turned to Rachel and suggested they go to the room to chat. Observing her daughter closely, Rachel sensed something peculiar. When Monica stood face to face with Olivia, Rachel noticed that their expressions were strikingly similar, causing her to gasp in surprise. Mommy, what's wrong? Monica asked with a tilt of her head, seemingly aware of Rachel's astonishment. Monica, are you imitating Olivia? Rachel speculated. Monica responded with a bright smile, neither confirming nor denying Rachel's guess. Rachel couldn't help but believe that Monica was indeed imitating Olivia. Monica, why did you... Rachel began, puzzled about Monica's intentions. Mommy? Monica interjected, her smile fading and her gaze turning cold. It's time to fight for what belongs to us, as mother and daughter. She expressed her determination to reclaim what was rightfully theirs, no matter how Olivia had taken it away. Rachel remained silent for a moment before nodding. All right. She realized that this was the only method left for them. Although she felt somewhat uneasy with this transformed Monica, they had no other choice. The Cooper family had lost its support, and now they had to rely solely on themselves. Monica's smile returned, and she offered, I'll cook for you later, okay? My Uncle Bruno taught me some culinary skills. You can help me test them out. Okay, Rachel agreed, observing Monica's complex expression. Despite her reservations, she knew they had to give it a try and fight for their future in this house and this family together. After leaving her father's mansion, Olivia headed to the agreed meeting place with Francis. They spent nearly an hour discussing his plans, covering aspects like the game's worldview, character types, game modes, and marketing strategies, with Francis addressing all of Olivia's questions. Everything else is fine, but this game story, Olivia frowned. Your worldview is very big. You focus on pretty esoteric subjects like astronomy, so only specific people, such as astronomy enthusiasts or professional gamers, will download and play this game. What about this other game, then? Francis took out a set of customized plans from his backpack. This one's more similar to a puzzle game, so players are trying to dodge bad guys and also solve puzzles at each level. And the story is set in the prehistoric age. He flipped open a few pages and said, This character avatars can be cute dinosaurs. It should be able to recruit some younger and female players to that way. Dinosaurs, huh? Olivia muttered, then suddenly remembered something and said, Wait a minute. She turned around and took out the notebook that she was going to give Wendy in a while and said, Take a look at this. These are Wendy's doodles and some fun little characters she thought up. Olivia flipped through the notebook as she pointed to the little robot on one of the pages. She told Francis the entire world that Wendy had created. Whoa, this story's quite interesting. Francis took Olivia's notebook and his eyes lit up. The character design is simple but easily replicable. And it's something I've never seen before. Maybe it will work. What if we put this story into production? Olivia asked. If this story needs to be changed to a game, you can change it into an action-adventure game. It could be a breakout hit. Francis thought for a moment and said, How about this? I'll go back and study it. Can I take this notebook? Let me call Wendy, Olivia responded. She dialed Wendy's number and asked for her permission before she officially handed the notebook over to Francis. After Wendy hesitantly agreed, Francis took Wendy's notebook and put it in his bag. I think this could be the start of a great game, he said excitedly, before taking off and heading home. Me too, Olivia nodded. See you on Monday? After bidding farewell to Francis, Olivia took a leisurely sip of the Coke, deep in thought. After some contemplation, she decided it was time to leave as well. But as she stood up, a gentle hand patted her shoulder. Startled, Olivia turned her head and was met with a smiling face. The girl was wearing a bright yellow running jacket and looked slightly familiar, though it took Olivia a moment to place her. You are Devin, right? She asked, her memory faintly recalling their previous encounter. "Indeed, what a coincidence running into you here," Jeremy's sister Devin replied, taking a seat across from Olivia, where Frances had just been sitting. "Who was that person you were talking to just now?" "He's my classmate," Olivia explained with a smile. "Devin, what brings you here?" "Oh, I just came out for some shopping and decided to take a break at McDonald's. What a serendipitous encounter," Devin said, her smile warm. "Yes, it is quite a coincidence," Olivia agreed, resting her chin on her hand. "I was actually about to leave, though." "Oh, well, I was also on my way out to buy something. Would you like to come with me?" Devin asked. "No, thank you. I have something else to take care of," Olivia politely declined, not really wanting to make plans with this relative stranger. "I see. All right, then," Devin replied with a smile, though a hint of disappointment flickered in her eyes. She waved her hand, saying, "In that case, goodbye." "Goodbye." Olivia slung her backpack over her shoulder. "I'll be on my way now. See you around." "Okay," Devin waved back. As she watched Olivia walk away, her heart sank a little. This was the chance she had been waiting for, intending to talk about her brother in order to capture Olivia's attention and promote Jeremy's good qualities, but she had missed the opportunity to even speak to Olivia before she left. Clasping her fist tightly, Devin pursed her lips, eyes reignited with determination. She would not give up easily. She was resolute in her pursuit.